I work for a company called Clover HR. We're a HR consultancy. A little bit about myself. I've worked in HR for over 20 years as HR manager and a HR business partner. And during that time, I have come across issues in the workplaces where it has involved that somebody is being bullied in the workplace. And I've supported that person. I've gone through the internal process. And what I want to talk to you about today is what to do if you feel that you're being bullied. So to give you a definition of bullying, this is one from ACAS. It's offensive, intimidating, malicious or insulting behaviour and abuse or a misuse of power through means that undermine, humiliate, denigrate or injure the recipient. And to put that into context, bullying is something that can happen, and it can happen over a period of time, and it can be kind of like a bit of a drip effect. So at first you kind of question, is this really happening? But bullying is its behaviour from another person or a group of people in the workplace that's unwanted, and it makes you feel uncomfortable. And what I want you to know about bullying is you have got protections in the workplace, and there is something you can do about it. But let's have a consider what bullying can mean and what its effect can be, and think about how it might be affecting you. So it might lead to you feeling frightened or upset, feeling that you're not respected at work, or you're being put down or humiliated. An example can be that you're being made fun of or shouted at, especially in front of other people. It could be that your boss is giving you heavier workloads than everybody else, and you really don't understand the reason for that. It could be that your team or your boss are not inviting you to social events, so you're feeling excluded. And it can be the way you're treated makes you feel belittled, or you feel you're being picked on by somebody else. It can even mean being called nicknames or being blamed for things that simply aren't your fault. It can be being ignored, and it can be people spreading gossip or malicious lies about you. So there's bullying and there's harassment, and I want to talk a little bit about harassment as well. And again, as I said, there are protections under the law that protect you from harassment and give you an avenue to tackle it. So harassment is if you are being treated differently because of what's referred to as protected characteristic. So protected characteristic in the workplace, and this is taken from the Equality Act 2010. It's a protected characteristic could relate to your age, if you've got a disability, you've been through gender reassignment, are you pregnant, you're on maternity leave, to do with your race, religion or belief, sex or sexual orientation. And to give you a definition from the Equality Act, harassment is unwanted conduct related to a relevant protected characteristic that has the purpose or the effect of violating the individual's dignity or creating an intimidating, hostile, degrading, humiliating or offensive environment. And to take a case under harassment, it has to be that behaviour is related to one of those protected characteristics. But to give you some examples of harassment, it could be that people are making insensitive jokes in the workplace, or lewd or abusive comments. It could be deliberately being excluded from conversations, people displaying abusive or offensive writing or material, and that can be written or it can be electronic in the form of emails, works, WhatsApp groups, Facebook relating to work events. It can be being abusive or using threatening behaviour or insulting words, calling you names, picking on you or setting you up to fail, undermining your contribution or your position at work, demanding a greater work output than is reasonably feasible, or blocking your promotion opportunities or denying you other development or advancement. Sexual harassment is unwanted conduct of a sexual nature and the conduct has the required purpose or effect. So unwanted conduct of a sexual nature related to sex, and the individual's you as an individual being treated less favourably because you've rejected or submitted to that conduct. Again, examples of sexual harassment, and unfortunately, even in 2021, sexual harassment workment does happen. And this is some examples of the form it can take. So it could be lewd or abusive comments of a sexual nature regarding your appearance or your body, unwelcome touching of a sexual nature, displaying sexually suggestive or offensive writing or material. And again, that can be written or electronic, on emails, etc. Asking questions of a sexual nature, making sexual propositions or advances, refusing you promotion or training because a sexual advance has been turned down, or making offensive comments because a sexual advance was submitted to. So let's have a look at the potential effects it can have on you if you are on the receiving end of bullying or harassment. So these are the things it can lead to: feeling very anxious, suffering from anxiety. It can have physiological effects, so higher blood pressure, panic attacks, feeling very stressed and all the symptoms of stress, having trouble sleeping, not being able to concentrate at work, leading to a loss of self-esteem, and ultimately lower productivity at work as well. The effects on somebody, on you, if you are suffering from bullying or harassment, can be really far-reaching. There are things you can do about it, and these are the things that I suggest you do about it. If you've not already done it, this would be my advice. So first of all, find a trusted individual that you can talk to. That could be somebody at work, so it could be your boss or another manager, somebody that works in HR if you've got a HR department, or a trade union representative. Or talk to somebody outside of work, a trusted friend, a relative. Don't suffer in silence. Share what's going on, because at this time you need some support. Practical steps you can take: keep a record of incidents, so dates, times, what's happened and how has it made you feel. Keep copies of any communications like emails. There are examples of bullying. So what can you do next? Sometimes in these situations, the person that's upsetting you might not actually realise the effects of their actions. So if you do feel you can talk to the person that has been making you feel the way you are, or that you feel has been bullying you, first of all, ask if you can see them in a private space. Explain how their behaviour makes you feel. Be firm when you communicate this, but don't be aggressive. Stick to the facts. So if you've made your record, stick to the facts of what happened, when it was, and how it made you feel. If you don't feel comfortable talking face to face, you could maybe put some of this in an email. But basically what you're asking for is that for this behaviour to stop, for their behaviour towards you to change. If that doesn't work, or you don't feel comfortable doing that, again, there are protections under the law. So every workplace should have its own grievance procedure. If it doesn't, then all workplaces should follow the ACAS code of practice, which you can find on the ACAS website. The employer will, as part of that grievance, will investigate your allegation and will invite you to a meeting to present further evidence. And you do have the right to be accompanied to that meeting either by a work colleague or a trade union representative. Your employer may propose mediation as a way of re-establishing the relationship. And if they do, I would encourage you to take that option. Mediation is usually very controlled by the mediator, gives each person open speaking space so they can communicate how they're feeling, how somebody's behaviours made you feel, and together you can make an action plan of how you're going to work together going forward. You can put in a formal grievance that gives examples of the behaviour that has been unacceptable. The employer, as I say, will investigate your allegation, may call you to a meeting, will meet with the other person who you've made the allegations against. We'll speak to any witnesses. So if you have any witnesses that have witnessed this behaviour, then give their names, speak to them to see if they will make a witness statement for you as well. And your employer will investigate the allegation, will provide an outcome. If the grievance is upheld, then action might be taken against the employer who's been found to have conducted the bullying. While the grievance is going on, it's quite usual for an employer to remove the person who made the allegations against away from your immediate workspace, so you don't have to work with them while the investigation's going on. The legal protections that you have from day one of employment, no matter how long you work for a particular employer, under the Equality Act, you can take a case to tribunal against your employer and against the perpetrator of the bullying if that their behaviour has been linked to one of these protected characteristics we talked about. So age, disability, gender reassignment, pregnancy, maternity, race, religion or belief, sex or sexual orientation. You have legal protections apart from employment law. There's protection from Harassment Act 1987. So you can take out a criminal, you can go to the police and report harassment, and the offence carries a fine of up to £5,000 or 6 months in prison, and the police will take that case forward. If your employer has not done sufficient to protect you, because they have a duty of care to protect you in the workplace, then the bullying may be a breach of that act, in which case you can take a case out against your employer under the Health and Safety at Work Act. And to not provide a safe workspace is a breach of common law duty as well. And that breach can lead to damages in a civil court. Ultimately, if you're not able to resolve these issues in the workplace, despite you going through your employer, perhaps raising a grievance, maybe having mediation, then you can, as a last resort, really, if you can no longer tolerate the environment that you're in, then you can resign and claim constructive dismissal if you've worked for an employer for at least 2 years and take a claim to a tribunal. You can get more information on the ACAS website, which is www.acas.org.uk. You can look at the government website, which is www.gov.uk/workplace bullying and harassment. Or there's a charity that supports people that have suffered from bullying, www.bullying.co.uk. So what I really want you to know is that being on the other end of bullying is not your fault. There is something you can do about it. There is support out there. There are actions that you can take. Don't be alone in this. Speak to a friend or a family member. Keep your records at work. Perhaps take some of the actions that we've looked at, which could be, if you feel comfortable, to speak to the person who behaviour you found to be of a bullying nature. Tell them how it makes you feel and ask them to change. You can go through your workplace grievance procedures, so your workplace will take actions to investigate the bullying, and if it's found to be proven, will take action against the person that has been bullying you. So do remember, there is something you can do about it. It's a very difficult situation, but it is solvable. So I hope this has been helpful. My name is Louise Rance. I'm part of Clover HR, which is an HR consultancy. Thank you for listening, and I hope it goes well for you. Bye.